All right, so today we're going to get into a really fascinating story from a small but super dedicated online community. It's a whole saga, really, about creativity, a ton of controversy, and what happens when fans decide a show has to go on, even if the original creator isn't there anymore. This is the wild ride of Clash to be champion. So let's just start with this one line of dialogue, because, wow, it really captures the whole thing perfectly. In a script that later got leaked, a character named Pound says this. He was talking about getting eliminated from the competition, sure, but looking back, he might as well have been talking about the entire show.
Okay, so to really get why this show's fate was always kind of hanging by a thread, we first need to understand the world it came from, and that's the very unique, very creative world of object shows.
I gotta ask, have you? This is incredible genre of web animation that has a massive, and I mean massive, following online. If you're new to this, you're about to discover a whole new corner of the internet.
Think of a show like Survivor, right? Or maybe Total Drama Island. Now, imagine that instead of people, all the contestants are like a talking beer keg, or a mirror, or a stack of poker chips. That's an object show. It's this amazing subculture, usually powered by just one or two super passionate creators working with basically no budget to tell these crazy stories.
And Clash to be Champion was a perfect example of this. You had this cast of characters that were just so memorable. I mean, can you imagine the drama between a beer keg and a princess hat? That's the charm right there. That's the magic of an object show.
And the show had everything you'd want from a good competition. They introduced new contestants in the reboot's first episode called And We're Back just to shake things up. You had all this petty drama, like a character named Service Bell literally stealing a camera. Alliances were forming and breaking. It was just this chaotic, really fun ride, and you can see why fans absolutely loved it.
But, behind the scenes, things were anything but stable. The show's actual production was just as chaotic as the competition it was trying to animate.
Just take a quick look at this timeline, and you'll see how wild it was. So Season 1 starts, gets a whole 4 episodes in, and then just gets canceled. Abruptly. The official reason inside the show's universe? The host, this character named Football Ring, just got bored and literally left everyone stranded on an island. Then, a whole year later, it pops back up with a new name and a new host.
What's great is that the show was totally in on the joke about its own messy history. In that reboot episode, a character just breaks the fourth wall, jumps in front of the camera, and yells at the host, "It's a reboot!"
For the diehard fans in the object show community, all of these stops and starts, it was kind of a red flag. It was a sign that something wasn't quite right, but I don't think anyone was really prepared for how suddenly it would all just come crashing down.
And this is where the story stops being about a quirky web series and takes a really sharp, really serious turn into the deep, messy waters of internet drama.
This was the question that just exploded across Reddit threads and Discord servers in the community. One day the show was there, and the next day, it just wasn't.
In January 2025, this headline sent absolute shockwaves through the fandom. The creator, who went by the name Cole the Geek, had just pulled the plug on everything.
Can you imagine that? Every single episode, every character introduction, all the hard work from the animators and the voice actors just gone, wiped from YouTube. For a little while, it really looked like the entire project was just erased from existence. It wasn't long after the channel disappeared that some really serious allegations against the creator started bubbling to the surface. They were all collected and documented on the show's fandom wiki page, which started with this pretty intense warning.
The allegations, all laid out on the community wiki, were serious. We're talking everything from mistreating the crew to bigotry. And that, right there, was pretty much the final nail in the coffin for the original version of the show.
So this brings up that classic question we keep asking in the internet age, right? What happens to the art when the artist is disgraced? What happens to the community that fell in love with that work?
But here's the amazing part of the story. It doesn't just end there. The fans, the people who loved this world and these characters, they decided to take matters into their own hands.
So first, complete scripts for episodes that were never even made, like the one with Pound's final words, started showing up online. Then, according to the fandom wiki, the original creator actually gave the whole project over to a fan-led team, basically giving them his blessing to finish the story. And that project became known as the Community Edition. So today, the show is in this incredibly fractured state. You've got the original, canceled version, you've got the fan-made continuation that's trying to finish the story, and Just to make things even more confusing, the original creator later announced he was doing his own official reboot, which is now also on hiatus. It's a lot.
The story of Clash to be Champion is definitely a messy one, but it's also, in a way, this incredible testament to the power of a really dedicated fan base. They've kept the show alive. They're creating their own version of the story, totally separate from all the controversy of its creator.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. In this day and age, where fans can really take ownership of the stories they love, this whole saga shows us a possible future, one where the art, the characters, and the community can truly outlive the person who started it all.